Tonight, Holy Communion, abortion, and politics. The U.S. Catholic bishops' debate puts America's second Catholic president and other Catholic politicians in the crosshairs of the Catholic Church. Plus, the race to vaccinate Americans. And
deeply humbled by them.
Former Vice President Mike Pence in the spotlight. But where is President Trump? All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. President Biden's faith under the spotlight again. Welcome to Faith Nation. I'm Jenna Browder. Today, U.S. Catholic bishops overwhelmingly voted in favor of advancing a push to deny him his communion over his support of abortion. Let's get right to senior Washington correspondent Tara Merchner, who's here with more on that decision just announced. Tara?
Well, Jenna, despite a warning from the Vatican, 73% of the bishops approved that measure to push a document that could deny Holy Communion to Biden and other pro-choice politicians. Outcry over Biden's position again revealing a deep division within the church. Here is what he said when a reporter asked for his reaction this afternoon.
Are you concerned about the rift in the Catholic Church, and how do you feel personally about that?
That's a private matter, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Catholic Church policy says that any parishioner in good standing can receive communion at Mass.
If you receive the Eucharist in a state of grave sin, you're doing yourself very grave spiritual harm.
But the debate over whether a vocal political supporter of abortion rights qualifies is growing.
The church belongs to Jesus. That's why I implore the president, please repent. Turn away from this error, and you know it's an error, and be faithful to what the church teaches.
This week, playing out at the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. Attending Mass each Sunday, rosary in hand, President Joe Biden has long put his faith front and center.
Faith is what has gotten me through difficult times in my life.
While Biden's faith is celebrated by his new D.C. church, Pope Francis, and many news outlets,
I support a woman's right to choose.
His position on abortion creating an increasing divide among Catholics. During a press briefing on Capitol Hill Thursday, Democratic House Speaker Nancy Pelosi dodged a reporter's question about whether a 15-week unborn baby constitutes a human being.
Is an unborn baby at 15 weeks a human being?
Let me just say that I'm a big supporter of Roe v. Wade. I am a mother of 5 children in 6 years. I think I have some standing on this issue as to respecting a woman's right to choose.
Since taking office, Biden has been targeting rules that protect the unborn.
If I believe health care is a right, as I do, I can no longer support an amendment that makes that right dependent on someone's zip code.
In the 80s, Biden voted in favor of a constitutional amendment to allow states to overturn Roe v. Wade, and in the 90s voted against federal funds for abortion at least 50 times. Archbishop Joseph Naumann, chairman of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, is among those who fears Biden is deliberately trying to confuse the faithful.
The American people have given him a lot of authority and power. But one power he doesn't have is to define what it means to be Catholic.
Now, the text of the bishop's proposal itself has not been written and would ultimately require approval by a 2/3 majority vote. President Biden is the first Roman Catholic to occupy the Oval Office in 60 years. Jenna.
All right, thank you, Tara. And joining us now is Father Thomas Reese, a Jesuit Catholic priest and senior analyst at Religion News. Father Reese, welcome. Happy Friday to you. So what do you think about this decision from the U.S. bishops? Is it what you expected?
Well, it clearly indicates that a lot of bishops are unhappy with Catholic politicians who are pro-choice, and they want to do something about it. Some of them want to punish them by denying communion to these politicians. Whether or not that's actually going to happen still remains to be seen, because under church law, only the local bishop has the right to do that. This cannot be done on a national level by the bishops' conference.
The Vatican sent a letter warning the American bishops not to take this step. Does that mean anything, or is it really just a warning?
Well, I think it shows that the Vatican is very concerned about the divisions within the bishops' conference. The Vatican never likes it when the bishops are arguing in public and divided. It's kind of like they're telling them, don't argue in front of the children, to the parents. And so they don't like that. The second thing they don't like is that, well, if the American bishops go down this route, what does it say about the church in the rest of the world, which does not have this policy and does not have any interest in going in this direction? That would mean that Biden could be denied communion in parts of the United States. He could go to Rome and receive communion there. It's very confusing to have this kind of disunity in the Catholic Church.
So the vote was 168 to 55 in favor of denying Biden communion. You know, the Catholic Church does not want to see this this division played out in public. But Father Reese, is there real division within the Catholic Church?
Well, first, you know, I have to emphasize that the vote was not on denying Biden communion. The vote was on whether or not they were going to have a document that might discuss this issue. So we're a long way from denying Biden or any other Catholic politician communion. But I think with the vote, you're absolutely right. The vote was overwhelming. Most of us, on both sides of the argument among the bishops, most of the bishops thought the vote was going to be much closer. I mean, this indicates that if all of these bishops that voted for this document are in favor of denying communion, then they've got their 2/3 vote right there.
Yeah. How do you think President Biden feels about this? We heard a soundbite from him addressing a reporter. He said it's a private matter, but still, do you think that President Biden cares that the U.S. bishops voted like this?
Well, I can't get inside the mind of the president, but clearly this is a man who goes to church every Sunday. You know, even when he was in Britain for the G7 meeting, he took time to go to church on Sunday, and the local parish was really surprised they had the president of the United States in this tiny little parish in Britain. So he is a man who is very devout in his practice of religion. But also remember that if you poll the American Catholics, the vast majority of them are against using communion as a weapon in the abortion wars or in any other battles, including a majority of Republican Catholics oppose using communion in this kind of weaponized way. So the bishops, if they go this direction, they're going to have to not only convince the Catholic politicians, they're going to have to convince the Catholic laity.
Yeah. All right, Father Thomas Reese, thank you so much joining us from California today. We appreciate you doing that.
Good to be with you.
Meanwhile, the Faith and Freedom Coalition's Road to Majority Conference is underway in Florida. A number of speakers have already taken to the stage, most notably former Vice President Mike Pence, who received mixed reaction. Here with us now is CBN White House correspondent Eric Phillips. Eric, not the warmest welcome for the former VP.
Not at all, Jenna. And if today was a litmus test on how the former vice president is being received now by the party's base, it certainly was not a pass with all flying colors. There were some 3,000 people expected at the conference, and while most of them seemed receptive to Pence, there are obviously Trump loyalists who continue to hold a grudge.
We lift up your name, King Jesus.
Though an atmosphere of praise and worship was set at the beginning of the day, when the session's headliner, former Vice President Mike Pence, took to the stage, it shifted.
I'm deeply humbled by them.
A few hecklers escorted out as Pence continued with his speech, in which he touched on a number of issues, including the highly controversial critical race theory Republicans are rallying against.
Critical race theory teaches children as young as kindergarten to be ashamed of their skin color. Critical race theory is racism, pure and simple. And it should be rejected by every American of every race.
Pence also addressed the problem at the southern border.
And yes, it's past time for our current vice president to go to the border, put our policies back into effect, and end the Biden border crisis today.
The former VP decried America's stance and the latest conflict between Israel and Hamas.
President Biden replaced strength with weakness, moral clarity with confusion, and loyalty with betrayal.
Former President Trump will not appear at the conference, something Faith and Freedom head Ralph Reed talked about on Faith Nation.
We look forward to having him in the future, and he was invited, and he's always welcome.
Some hardly consider Pence to be a good consolation. Beyond the heckling, there are comments like this on Faith and Freedom's Facebook page. Pence speaking seriously? Most Christ-believing patriots consider him a Benedict Arnold to our party. Still, Pence pushed on, trying to galvanize the base, looking forward to midterm elections and ultimately 2024.
So the time is now for freedom-loving patriots here and across the nation to stand together and unite behind our proven agenda and win America back.
Pence also said we don't need to defund, but to defend the police. Other notables who took part in the conference today include Senators Ted Cruz, Rick Scott, and Lindsey Graham. And Saturday, the conference will hear from Florida Governor Rick DeSantis, who is widely considered to be a rock star among Republicans. Jenna.
White House correspondent Eric Phillips, thank you. And here with us now is Paris Denard, GOP national spokesperson and director of Black Media Affairs. Paris, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Vice President Pence heckled during his speech. What does this say about his standing as a leader within the Republican Party?
First of all, thank you for having me. Look, I think that this Republican Party is more united, more diverse, and more enthusiastic about winning the majority back in Congress. And when you look at someone like Vice President Pence, there are some people within our party who have differences of opinion about the election. And even Vice President Pence said that he's spoken to President Trump multiple times and that he doesn't think that they will ever see eye to eye. One thing that we can be united on is the fact that Vice President Pence and President Trump worked together with President Trump at the head, diversifying our party, and enacting a lot of things that many conservatives and many people of faith can be proud of, meaning opportunity zones, standing up for life, and doing things that really enabled us to be proud to be Americans and proud to be Americans of faith, especially when it comes to the court system and all of the conservative judges that he put on the federal bench and also the three in the Supreme Court. So we have a lot to celebrate as it relates to the Trump-Pence administration. And as we look forward to the majority, winning back the majority in the 2022 midterms, we are on the path in the right direction because we're united and we're more diverse because of the Trump-Pence administration.
Paris, to your point, everybody is looking to 2022. What do Republicans need to do to win back the majority in the midterms?
Well, one of the things that we're doing at the Republican National Committee is being intentional on our engagement and engaging with diverse audiences. I was so proud to be here representing the RNC on a panel today. I just finished up, and I have a panel tomorrow on the main stage. And I look at that crowd, and I see so many people of diverse backgrounds, young people, minorities, women, senior citizens. It is a representation of America. And what we have to do is register to vote. We have to make sure that we are voting in every election and that we get our neighbors, our family members, our parishioners and fellow churchgoers all to come out and vote Republican. In addition to that, the Republican National Committee and other organizations are very focused on the issue of election integrity and making sure that we get the laws that the Democrats are trying to put on the American system out and not happen. HR 1 and S1 and other things that are being done at a state level that are going to be totally disruptive to election integrity. So we have to fight for that as well.
All right, Paris Denard, national spokesperson for the GOP. We thank you for your time this evening. Have a great weekend.
Thank you so much.
And coming up, conservatives praising the Supreme Court's decision, siding with a Catholic foster care agency. Coming up, why some say it didn't go far enough.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crab Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel. Now available at cbnradio.com.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
The Supreme Court decision siding with a Catholic group over same-sex foster care services is revealing a division among conservatives on the court. 3 of the more conservative-leaning justices wanted the court to go bigger by ruling on a precedent established more than 30 years ago in the case Employment Division v. Smith, which many consider to be a blow to religious freedom. Rather than tackling a broader question about religious exercise, the narrow ruling that a Catholic foster care agency does not have to violate any religious beliefs by handing over kids to same-sex married couples applies only to the city of Philadelphia. Here with us now is Ryan Baumberger, Chief Creative Officer and co-founder of the Radiance Foundation and an exclusive columnist at the Christian Post. Ryan, good evening and welcome. What do you think? Should the Supreme Court have gone further in making this a broader ruling in terms of religious exercise?
Yeah, the Supreme Court often makes supremely wrong decisions. I mean, they kind of create a mess and they compound it. The fact that they only ruled for Catholic social services in Philly it was ridiculous, a wasted time. I mean, the principle, the First Amendment applies to all situations, so they could have protected all faith-based adoption agencies, and that is definitely my concern. But they did rule right in this particular case.
So because it wasn't broader, do you think we'll see more cases like this going to the Supreme Court?
Absolutely. They'll have to keep coming back because the Supreme Court refuses to actually do their job in interpreting the Constitution. And so this case should have more broadly applied to all religious charities, to all faith-based agencies, because it will inevitably get back. Because you have the ACLU and Lambda Legal that are trying so aggressively to shut down faith-based adoption agencies across the country.
So Ryan, tell us about the decision 30 years ago, the Smith case. How did that affect religious freedom?
Well, here again is the problem with the Supreme Court, because when they made the ruling in Smith, they didn't go far enough. They ruled the wrong way. It didn't allow the First Amendment, the Constitution, to actually shine through and leaving some of that ambiguity. So instead of protecting religious liberty as a constitutional foundational right, they left it open, which is why you have these cases continually coming back to the Supreme Court. And so this is, again, another precedent that they're setting by failing to actually say, look, here is what the First Amendment says. Here is, your religious liberty, your free speech, your freedom of association. Here is that protection. Here is that foundational principle. And this applies broadly. And I feel like they're kind of repeating history by failing to do that, and to do that explicitly the way they should have been. Alito alluded to this in his opinion, because of the narrow win, the narrow victory here, the narrow definition of this particular ruling. It's just the Supreme Court does this over and over again. It's like, why repeat the same work? The constitutional principle has existed for a long time, and it'll exist tomorrow, and it should exist, you know, as long as America exists. And they failed, I think, in their duty.
Father's Day this weekend. We know you come from a large family of 15. Tell us about your own experience, Ryan, with foster care and adoption, and how it's important to faith-based agencies.
Yes, I'm a father of 4. 2 of my kiddos are adopted. I was loved so much by my own dad, who recently passed away in January. It was the hardest thing in my life to deal with, the worst pain I've ever experienced. But I will tell you this. Faith-based adoption agencies made my family possible. My family of 15, I have 12 siblings, 10 of us were adopted. We wouldn't have existed without the incredible life-affirming work of faith-based adoption agencies. So my parents had 3 biological children, adopted 10 of us, and because faith-based agencies were able to live out and practice their religious beliefs, the Bomberger family was possible. So, you know, a family of white and black, Native American, Vietnamese. I mean, you had opposition to transracial adoption, but had it not been for the work of these faith-based adoptions, our family wouldn't look the way that it looks. And so I'm really grateful for the work of faith-based adoption agencies. And I love that my parents loved all of us, all 13 kids, into our God-given purpose.
Yeah, well, we are very sorry to hear about your father, but it sounds like he left an incredible legacy behind and was a wonderful man. Ryan Bomberger, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And when we come back, the White House race to vaccinate 70% of Americans by Independence Day. Can they do it?
Too often, we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Wednesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel. Tikkun Olam.
This is our nature as a country.
To make the world a better place.
Literally, we felt the earth shaking.
The Christian Broadcasting Network presents To Life, how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
This film needs to be seen by everyone.
I was in tears.
Now you can own the inspiring documentary To Life on DVD.
There is blood on our hands if we know and we walk away.
I'm so grateful that this film was made.
To Life can be yours for a gift of $10 or more. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
We know that every minute counts to save life.
It'll bless Israel, but it'll also bless all the friends of Israel.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are making the world a better place. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com to get your copy today.
Countdown to the 4th of July. Tonight, the White House race to vaccinate 70% of all Americans by July 4th is in full swing. Today at the White House, President Biden praised the effort, marking 300 million vaccine doses administered in 150 days.
We're heading into a very different summer compared to last year. A bright summer, prayerfully a summer of joy. And the truth is that deaths and hospitalizations are drastically down in places where people are getting vaccinated. But unfortunately, cases and hospitalizations are not going down in many places in the lower vaccination rate states.
To date, 600,000 Americans have died due to COVID-19, more than the number of American casualties in the 2 world wars and Vietnam combined. The president issued a specific warning against the rise of a Delta variant of the virus, imploring Americans to get vaccinated. Overseas, a nearly uncontested presidential election in Iran is expected to result in a victory for a hardline, ultra-conservative candidate. Ebrahim Raisi, an Iranian judiciary chief currently under U.S.-imposed sanctions, is expected to sail to victory. Polls ahead of today's election predicted a low turnout of less than 50% after moderate Iranian voters, viewing the election as a foregone conclusion, plan to stay home. Still ahead, see the sun like never before and the longest day of the year.
It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
On the home front.
Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. CBN honors the men and women in our military with an initiative called Helping the Home Front. It partners with churches across the country to meet the needs of their military families, from repairing homes to wiping out medical bills for wounded veterans.
Wednesday at 3 on the CBN News Channel. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
Finally tonight, in celebration of the upcoming summer solstice, NASA is giving us a closer look at the closest star. The United States Postal Service is rolling out a new set of Forever stamps. The stamps will showcase stunning images from NASA's solar observing telescopes and allow us to see the sun in exquisite detail. This comes as NASA prepares to capture the summer solstice and the start of a brand new solar cycle next week. And that does it for Faith Nation. Have a wonderful weekend, and to the fathers out there, happy Father's Day.